honestly, we are probably spoiled for choice, the industry, because if you looked at it in the last 10 years, there is an influx of supply from the IITs. 10 years back, 90% of IITs went out of India. At this point in time, all of those people are seeking employment here. That's the same in terms of growth of some of the premier colleges, the IIMs or many of the other ones. So the industry honestly is possibly spoiled for choice, and some of the choices that we are making go way beyond just rankings and other things, but we're also looking at things like the tenure to which some of these students stick on in industries, the kind of performance ratings that people do over the last 3 years, and the kind of value that they've added, and how many people have grown and how many people have done that. I think, we can keep looking at the problem in two parts, which is primarily if you're wanting to solve the employability problem, which is in the mid-tier of colleges or any lower rungs. Do we want to bridge the gap, and we can keep chasing to bridge the gap? I've honestly been on some of these conversations for many years now, and we still keep talking possibly of the same things. And the bridge the gap is probably, we will keep continuing to do that. The choices that I see are as follows. One is that you either catch up to some of the newer technologies that happen. So if you're running a medical school, for example, are you teaching the way in which heart surgeries were done 30 years back, and then the guy lands up in a hospital and says, oh, you guys do keyhole surgeries? I never knew that. Or that could be the same in an industry like mine, which is you are teaching probably technologies which have been redundant by the company itself. And the guy comes and figures out what to do. So there's a knowledge part of it. I would suggest that either you're teaching world class or let it be. Even if you're teaching threshold, my personal view is that it is fine as long as you're teaching them some of the soft skills. The opportunity that in my view that exists for the college is briefly, which was touched upon by a few people, which I think the late C.K. Prahlad said this, is opportunity to actually let go of some of the talent that is out there in the beyond India as well. Because there are lots of people who are looking for good talent in engineers and doctors, and so actually there is a market out there if you look for the market in some places, and maybe you can adapt to some of those markets as well. There are universities that are pitching for students from India. The half of Silicon Valley is probably Indians, and many such things. So you have to look at it as an opportunity where you're able to supply talent for many decades, many decades to come. I believe there's one place to bridge that, and I don't know how the industry wants to solve this. And I was reading an interesting statistic which said that my mantra is probably to do a lot of internships. Now, get practical knowledge out there to that person. And one of the startling statistics that hit me hard is that in India, we probably do roughly about 250, 300,000 internships. And so, the gentleman brought out to saying that China does 20 million internships. And that's the reason why probably they're getting a lot more practicality into their curriculum and a lot more this industry, this thing. So I think I've been on this in terms of trying to tinker with curriculum, and we can keep tinkering with it. But I think the strategic leap is to either you see it, where are your markets that you want to fill in, and or to try and find certain leaps that you may possibly want to do. And in my view, I think internships is probably one big area that if across the board it is done like B schools, maybe that's a bit of a silver bullet.